Thank you all for watching and supporting my videos. Your encouragement keeps me inspired to create even more content. My next big goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. If you enjoy what I create, hit that subscribe button and join me on this journey. Now let's dive into the stories.
A usual Friday evening, the rain patters softly against the windows, thunder rumbles beyond the horizon, but for now it's far away. Kevin stands by the front door watching as his parents get into the car. His mother glances back one more time through the window. "Kevin, are you sure you'll be okay alone?" "Yes, Mom, it's just for 2 days. I'm not a kid." His father starts the engine and turns on the headlights. "Don't forget to lock the door," his mother reminds him, raising a finger. Yeah. Kevin rolls his eyes, smiles, and waves. The car drives away, leaving him alone. He stands on the doorstep for a few seconds, listening as the sound of the engine fades into the distance. Then he turns around, locks the door, secures the chain, and checks the lock. He sighs. Now he's alone, stretching out on the couch in the living room. He props his feet up on the table. A strange taste of freedom. No adults, no rules. A notification sounds from the kitchen. His mom. "If anything happens, call right away. Love you." "Yeah, Mom," he mutters without replying. A comedy is playing on the big TV screen. He munches on chips, laughing. After about half an hour, he starts scrolling through social media on his phone, and then a faint noise from the hallway. Kevin lifts his head. The house is silent. Only the clock in the kitchen ticks. Maybe the wind. He turns back to his phone but catches another sound, something like a muffled breath. His heart skips a beat. Slowly he turns toward the dark hallway. Maybe he forgot to lock the back door. He gets up, walks through the dark corridor, and checks. Front door locked, windows closed, kitchen door shut, everything in place. Kevin shrugs and heads back to the living room, but he doesn't notice that something in the dark corner of the room is watching him. He lies back on the couch, scrolling through his feed. A call. The phone vibrates on his stomach. Unknown number. He answers. "Hello." Silence. "Who is this?" No response, just a faint rustling sound. Maybe a glitch. He hangs up, blocks the number, and seconds later the phone rings again. Same unknown number. He mutes it. A notification pops up on the screen from an unknown sender. "You are not alone." His chest tightens with cold. He swallows, gripping the phone. Another message. "Look into the hallway." His hands go icy. He glances at the door. Should he check or not? The silence of the house suddenly feels suffocating. Kevin slowly steps toward the doorway. The hallway is dark like a void. The living room light barely reaches its edges. He extends his hand and flips on the switch. Empty. He takes a step forward and hears a click behind him. Whipping around, his closet door is open. Just a few inches. Kevin stands frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. The closet in his room is slightly ajar, though he clearly remembers closing it earlier in the day. He tries not to breathe. Maybe it's just a draft, but there are no windows in the closet. Slowly he moves closer, holding his phone in his hand. He gets right up to it, holds his breath, and suddenly yanks the door open. Empty. His own jackets and sweaters hang helplessly in the dim light. "What an idiot I am." He exhales and shakes his head. He firmly shuts the door and clicks the lock, but as he steps back a few paces, the lock clicks quietly, and the door opens again, just a few centimeters. Kevin freezes. What the? He slowly approaches again. The closet is silent. Kevin closes it one more time, this time keeping his hand on the handle a little longer. 0.5 seconds, 0.10 seconds, all is quiet. He steps back, but now he hears a faint breath from the closet. Kevin rushes to the door, dashes into the hallway, and slams his room door shut with a crash. He stands in the dark hallway, gripping his phone so tightly his fingers are turning white. Something's wrong. He hears a low sound, as if something is scratching the door from the inside of his room. Kevin clenches his fists, trembling. The phone vibrates in his hand again. An unknown number. His eyes slowly fall to the screen. Another message has arrived. "Don't run. I can see you." His breath quickens. He bolts to the kitchen, grabs the largest knife from the drawer. Is this just some prank from someone I know? He asks himself, though he knows it's impossible. The windows are shut, the doors are locked. No one could have gotten inside, but there's someone in the house. Suddenly, the phone starts ringing again. With trembling fingers, Kevin presses the answer button. Hello. Silence again, only slow breathing on the other end of the line. "Who is this?" he snaps, gripping the knife even tighter. But instead of an answer, a whisper. So quiet, but Kevin hears it clearly. "I'm already inside." The connection cuts off, and Kevin feels the blood drain from his face, because the phone shows the call was made from his own number. "Don't run." Kevin is drenched in cold sweat. He holds the phone in his trembling hand. The screen is still glowing, showing his own number. If the call came from here, then the one who called is already inside the house. Behind him, the light clicks off. Kevin freezes. A cold breath brushes his neck. "Can you hear me?" His heart feels like it stops. He spins around quickly, holding the knife, and sees a dark figure in the corner of the kitchen. Tall, Unnaturally thin, the face is hidden in shadow, but the eyes, they're there, and they're staring directly at him. What are you? Kevin stumbles back, but his voice trembles. The dark figure doesn't move. It just watches, then it whispers, I just want to play. Nightmare. The light starts flickering, and the kitchen is plunged into semi-darkness. Kevin bolts to run, but the figure vanishes into the shadows. He races to the living room, tries to open the front door, but the lock won't turn. As if it's been sealed from the inside. Open up, open up. He bangs on the door, but the house is filled with dead silence. The phone vibrates again, the number. The same. He doesn't pick up, just grips it so tightly his fingers turn white. Then, the phone plays a voicemail. Kevin freezes. A thin, childlike voice, I'm already close. And then, a step is heard on the stairs, slow, barely audible. Kevin turns, frozen with fear. From the darkness of the hallway, a pale face appears, his own. Mirror. Kevin stares at himself, a perfect copy, but the other Kevin's eyes are black, without whites, and he smiles. You're no longer needed, Kevin. Kevin takes a step back, the dark twin takes a step forward. I want to be you. The light goes out completely, and the last thing Kevin hears is his own voice, but not his, dark, raspy, foreign, sleep, Kevin. I'm the one in charge now. The new Kevin. The next day, his parents return home. The house is perfectly clean. Kevin sits on the couch, smiling. His mother walks in, takes off her coat. Hi, dear. How did everything go? Great, Mom. His voice is calm, but if you look closely, his eyes are a little darker than before, and when his mother goes into the kitchen, Kevin slowly turns toward the mirror and looks at his reflection. The reflection doesn't move, and then, he smiles widely.
The deep night. Silence comparable only to the darkness itself. The streetlights glow, but their light doesn't reach the windows of the old house. The winds sway the branches of trees, casting shadows on the walls. In the room, the only light comes from the mobile phone screen, flashing in Emma's hands. She is comfortably settled on the couch in her spacious house, which is empty now except for her. Her parents have gone away for the weekend and she is alone, filled with a sense of freedom. Yet there's another feeling, a sensation she can't put into words. Anxiety? A slight uneasy feeling that has plagued her since her parents left. She quickly scrolls through her social media feed, checking messages. She doesn't even notice how her fingers instinctively tap on one of the icons. Stella, Emma writes on the screen, smiling as she thinks of her friend. Hey, wanna come over? It's boring here alone. Stella doesn't hesitate and replies almost immediately, I'm on my way. Emma sighs in relief and places the phone on the table, watching as the light in the room flickers again when a thundering sound is heard outside the window. What's that? She approaches the window, peering into the darkness, but sees nothing. Just the dark shadows moving in the wind. She laughs, startled by her own fear, and returns to the couch. Maybe it's just her imagination? But thank goodness Stella will be here soon. The phone rings. Stella, the screen shows, and Emma immediately picks up. Are you here already? The sound of the incoming call disrupts the quiet night, and Emma smiles, heading toward the door. She opens it, and Stella appears on the doorstep, her face glowing in the darkness like moonlight. What's with the nerves? Stella asks with a smile. Oh, nothing, everything's fine, Emma responds, trying to mask her anxiety. She invites her friend in, and Stella steps inside, immediately throwing her bag on the table and making herself comfortable on the couch. I brought beer. We need to relax, you know how much I love nights without parents. Emma smiles, but her gaze flickers to the window again. What is that sound? Maybe the neighbor is doing some work again? No, it's something else. Something unfamiliar. Like a tightness in her chest. But she tries not to pay attention to it. What, still worried about your fear? Stella asks, opening the beer. Nothing, Emma replies, but her eyes are again searching the street for the dark figure that has flashed by several times. While Stella plays music on her phone and heads to the kitchen for snacks, Emma hears strange sounds again. First, a faint crackling, then barely audible footsteps. She approaches the window, trying to see something in the dark. And then, something flickers. At first it's just a shadow. Then a silhouette of a person. Not an ordinary person, but one that seems to move unnaturally, like someone with a hoarse cough, making steps that hang in the air. Sweat beads on Emma's forehead, and her breath becomes heavy. What's happening? Stella asks, returning from the kitchen. She follows Emma's gaze. I think I see something. Outside, Emma whispers, unable to take her eyes off the figure. Are you out of your mind? Stella asks, raising an eyebrow and sitting next to her. But her smile disappears when she notices Emma freezing, her gaze fixed on the dark spot outside the window. Did you hear that? Emma asks quietly, still not tearing her eyes away. What? Stella stands up and walks toward the window. They stand together, and Stella can feel her heart starting to beat faster. The strange sounds intensify. It's not the wind. It's footsteps. Only a few steps left until they reach the house. Something dark is moving very close. We need to call the police. Stella's voice sounds confused, but she tries to stay calm. Emma silently glances toward the door. Can they call for help if it's just some stupid shadow? What if it's just someone walking by, oblivious to her panic? But the sounds are getting closer, and now they can clearly hear something or someone moving heavily. The shadows dancing in the light of the streetlights seem alive. Christina and Lily stand by the window, their hearts pounding faster. The steps outside they hear are getting closer, and then silence. All sounds seem to fade, and even the wind stops rustling. What's that? Whispers Lily, her hands trembling as she grips the back of the couch. Christina tries to collect her thoughts, but her speech falters. Maybe it's just one of the neighbors, Christina says, but she doesn't believe her own words. They both feel something unnatural approaching them. The girls sit on the couch, but their thoughts won't let them rest. Christina tries to call her parents, but the signal doesn't go through. Only empty, cold silence on the other end. She checks again, the phone doesn't work. What's happening? She asks, feeling panic welling up inside her. Lily is already getting nervous. She stands up, her legs shaking. I'm going to check, she says, but Christina quickly grabs her hand. No, don't go. It could be dangerous. Lily pulls her hand away and, bending down, approaches the door. A sharp noise outside makes her quickly turn back to Christina, and both girls feel the cold seep into the room. The sense of danger that was once vague is now sharp and tangible, like it's closing in from all sides. Meanwhile, the sounds return. First, only faint crackling, but with each moment they get clearer and louder. The steps, heavy and slow, as if someone is dragging something heavy underfoot. Lily tries to look out the window again, but it doesn't help anymore. The street was empty, but now it feels like someone is watching them. We need to leave the house, Christina says, her voice firm like never before. She approaches the door but stops again. Her heart tightens when she hears someone relentlessly clicking the lock from the outside. The girls freeze in place. This can't be happening, Lily whispers, feeling cold sweat on her skin. We can't stay here, Christina repeats, feeling her hands freeze in fear. Suddenly, a louder sound from outside. The footsteps stop being so erratic. They become heavy, precise, like a chase. Christina rushes to the door, opening it and grabbing Lily as she tries to exit. But standing in the doorway is a man. He's been there the whole time. The shadow of the night comes alive, and both girls can smell the stench of his sweaty skin and dirty clothes. This man doesn't look like an ordinary passerby. His eyes, empty, pained, look like he's been sucked into an endless darkness and became part of it. He holds a large knife, and Christina's gaze immediately focuses on it. Time seems to stop. Run, he whispers, his voice dull and raspy like old metal bending. They rush back to the room, but the door is broken from the other side. And now this man stands in their room, his cold eyes never leaving Christina and Lily. They feel the darkness creeping into their souls, the steps drawing nearer. What do you want from us? Lily asks, fear in her voice. He doesn't answer, only slowly approaches, and in his hand the knife blade glints again. But then something changes. Christina suddenly remembers the old basement. She knows she won't have time, but it's their only chance for escape. She grabs Lily's hand and, without thinking of the consequences, drags her toward the basement. They rush down, slamming the door shut behind them. We won't make it. Lily screams, hearing the man following them. They hear his steps, but now between them and him is only a metal door. It's dark in the basement. But luckily, Christina manages to find an old flashlight. She turns it on and, navigating through dust and old boxes, stops at one of the walls. Lily approaches her, staring intently into the darkness. Suddenly they hear the familiar sound. The man doesn't stop. They don't have much time. Just as they reach the door, they suddenly hear the sound of it being sliced by the knife, and his steps echo closer. The girls stand in front of the basement door, their hearts pounding in unison. The flashlight casts a weak glow, and they see the door beginning to bend under the weight of the man's knife as he relentlessly forces it open. They have no choice. "Here!" Sarah shouts, her voice strained with tension. She notices a small window in the corner of the basement, long covered in dust and cobwebs. "You can crawl through this window," she says, grabbing Sophia's hand. Sophia hesitates at first, but as another loud crack echoes through the basement, she doesn't think twice. She scrambles toward the window. Sarah helps push her through, but she stays behind. She knows there isn't enough time for both of them to escape. Sophia has to run alone. "Don't leave me." Sophia grabs her hand, but Sarah pushes her away. "You have to run. Now." The basement door finally shatters, and the dark silhouette of the man reappears in their view. Sophia bolts out of the basement, rushing into the cold night. She looks back, but Sarah is already out of sight. The door slams shut behind her, trapping her inside. And then, something impossible happens. The man doesn't lunge at her. Instead, he slowly steps forward, revealing more of the basement walls, as if giving her a moment to understand something. He isn't trying to kill her. He's just waiting, watching like a predator. Sarah realizes she has no chance of escape. Only one thought fills her mind: she can't leave Sophia alone. She turns toward the window again, trying to reach it, but before she can, the basement door slams shut once more and heavy darkness swallows her. At the last moment, just as she is about to give up, she feels someone grab her from behind. But it's not him. It's Sophia. She came back, she didn't leave her behind. "We're getting out of here together," Sophia says, her voice filled with determination. And then together they break free through the window, gasping for air as they escape into the night. They run until they reach safety, far from that cursed house. Days pass. They try to return to normal life, but the nightmare doesn't leave them. Strange things start happening, shadows moving in their peripheral vision, calls from unknown numbers that always end in silence. They tell their parents, but no one believes them. The fear lingers. Then Sarah feels a cold touch on her wrist. She looks down and sees an old bracelet she doesn't recognize. And it's been there since that first night, since everything began. Silence. Sarah sits on her bed, holding the bracelet in her hands. She can't shake the memory, but worse, she feels the fear creeping back into her bones. Outside, the night is deep and still, until she hears those heavy footsteps again. But now she knows, this nightmare isn't over. Will they ever forget? Will the man disappear from their lives? Or will he continue to watch from the shadows, waiting for new victims in a world where fear has no end?